We are waiting for. Hey, Presna.
Hi,
How
hi,
are
how are
you?
you? Good, good.
Fine, and you?
Pardon?
Fine. Fine, and you? How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I am so glad to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, and thanks to you for inviting me at your platform.
Okay, so tell everybody who you are.
So basically, I am the founder of Ecoplore, and we promote and book environment friendly accommodations. So we identify hotels which are made of mud, wood, bamboo, stone, or any local architecture, and they should have at least 30% greenery. And then we personally visit them to confirm whatever they're saying actually exists on ground or not. And then we take them on our platform and take bookings for them. So that's about what I do. And personally, I started my journey as a journalist. I worked as a journalist for almost 8 years. And then I started my entrepreneurship around 4 years back.
Wow, that's a lot. So let me ask you something. Were you a journalist for 8 years, but for green tourism, or how does this idea of having like eco hotels pop into your mind?
So I was a normal, regular journalist covering news, and it had nothing to do with environment or tourism at all. But around 4 years back, around 4 or 5 years back, we planned a holiday to Malaysia, and I was looking for environment-friendly hotels to stay in Malaysia, and I could not find one platform from where I could get a list of such hotels. So it took me almost 1 month of research to find just 5 hotels to stay in Malaysia, which are environment friendly. But when I actually stayed in them, the experience was mind blowing. And it was there, I thought that when I go back to India, I will find out that if there's any organization or if there's a company which is working on aggregating environment friendly hotels, and if there's not, then I'm going to do that. So that's how the journey started. I did research for almost 6 months, and I figured out that there was no such platform existing even in India. So that gave me an opportunity to start this.
Wow, that's awesome. And how many people are working there?
So we work in a very, very different module. I don't want to make this a corporate organization. So as many work which we can, we try to outsource it. And in our core team, there are around 8 to 10 members which work in our core team. And most of the other work, we try to outsource that.
Okay, so I mean, if we travel to India, how can we get to your hotel? And if they teach there like green tourism, or if they teach there any ecological ideas so they can help save the planet individually?
So every hotel which we aggregate has a very unique story to them. So I'll just give you some examples. For example, we have a hotel in northern India where the owner had actually bought an entire hill and given it back to the environment. So he did construction in like not even 5% of the total area which he owns, and rest he has done no change in it, and it's growing up like a natural forest. So that's like that's the best example of how you can just give back to nature and just don't do anything to the natural habitat. Then we have another stay in western part of our country where you can view crocodiles from the standing in the balcony of the hotel, and
Wow,
they're
that's
like
awesome.
Yeah, there are hundreds of birds which come to sit on like one single tree in the evening, and they have like they grow almost all kind of vegetables, fruits. They have 100 varieties of mangoes. So they have actually made it a mini sanctuary. So these are like they are doing a lot of conservation at their individual level. And as a curator, as an aggregator platform, we are trying to bring all these accommodations together on one platform.
Wow. And are you having this all over India, or you have like a special place where the hotel is?
No, we have accommodations across the country. We have it all over India.
How many accommodations do you have?
So till now, so as I mentioned that we personally visit and verify every place. One is that you just take the details and take the pictures on email and put it on your website, and you say you're an aggregator, which almost all the major aggregator companies do across the world. So we visit every hotel. So we have visited around 150 plus hotels across the country personally, and I have personally been to like almost 70 to 80% of them, and I've seen them from my own eyes. And if I put it to account the non-verified hotels, then it will be like almost 1,000, 5,000, like a long list. But I'll consider these 150 verified hotels to be the best ones.
And how many is the cost of staying in a hotel?
So if I tell you the price as per the Indian rupees, because right now we are doing majorly in India, so approximately every stay will cost you around 4,000 to 5,000 for two people, including the accommodation, including the meals, and including the activities. So activities are a very integral part. Generally, a lot of people think that hotel means a place to sleep, but in our case hotel is much beyond that. You get to do several things when you come to our hotel. You get to relax because there is no pollution, there is no honking, there is no crowd. So you are actually in the lap of nature, with forest, with mountains, and with rivers around you, with waterfall water streams around you. And plus you can go for trekking, you can go for birding, you can go for mountain biking, you can have bonfire. So there are different range of activities every accommodation provides, and that's how we are
So how
different from normal hotels.
so how do you manage to have non-polluted air?
Uh, the location is the main reason. If majority of our hotels are located in outskirts, so it is surrounded by greenery. We make it mandatory that they should have at least 30% tree coverage inside the campus. So that's the minimum. Plus around like around the area they have a lot of greenery. Plus they have a water body, or if they are in a mountain they'll have the natural landscape. So this greenery is the main reason which assures that the accommodation is pollution free.
So do they teach over there ecologic issues for them to know how to do the things, or you just like go there to have non-polluted air and just feel free from every
Yeah.
contaminated area that we have?
So see, we are actually into tourism. So tourism, at least for Indian audience, it should be full of fun. There should be a lot of fun filled activities. It's not like you go there to learn something, like according to Indian mindset. So what we have tried to do is that all these accommodations, they practice eco measures. So they have solar panels, they have rainwater harvesting, they will not allow plastic, they will grow their own vegetables. So they follow a lot of these measures. So when a tourist goes there, they are not taught to do, to do any of those things. But if I'm going there as a tourist and I see, okay, this is how a solar panel is put, and this is how you use the electricity, this is how rainwater harvesting is laid, or this is the benefit of living in a mud house and then a concrete hotel, which all of us stay in our cities. So when they see all those things happening in front of them, there are a lot of these signboards which are there in the accommodations, where they mention that switch off the lights when not in use, or don't waste water because that's the most precious thing. There are very, very creative ways also in which these accommodations say the same things. So they're not given any lesson per se, but indirectly all those things are being imbibed in them. And when they experience that beauty, and they go back, they realize that why preserving nature is important, why non-littered area like is more important, and why should we not just throw things around and pollute it. So they do it and they understand it, they are not taught about it.
Right. And do you have any flyers over there about ecological ideas? How do they manage in the hotel, or the do's and the don'ts of ecological hotel? I mean, it's not the same having an ecological hotel that a normal hotel that we go everywhere. Like, it's not the same. So do you have any manages so they can know how to manage themselves there? There's like restrictions for kids, or for even for women and men.
Yeah, so actually a lot of these places are inside forest, and there's wildlife also in many of them. There are waterfalls and water streams, so they are given some special instructions that for example, do not feed the wildlife, because otherwise like they could harm you, or for example, uh, don't just go around plucking the fruits which are there, because you don't know which fruit is ripen and which is not. So depending on the location, depending on the situation over there, there are like special instructions which are even written as signboards and told to the tourist during their briefing.
Right. And what is your role there? I mean, there are a lot of hotels everywhere, and you are like the CEO of Ecoplore, or you're coordinating. Like, how do you manage to have every single hotel, or like all over the world for you?
So I started Ecoplore, and the work which we exactly do is to first identify these properties, because we have like lakhs and lakhs of regular hotels which are like concrete buildings, and they are polluting and they are destroying and they are harming the environment. But we have only thousands of hotels which are actually doing some kind of conservation work, and they are helping in saving the planet. So first we need to identify such hotels. So our job is to identify them, and then to do a basic investigation about them, through email, through by calls, through all the online resources. And once we are sure that this property is good and we should take them, then we personally visit that property. And that's the most important part, because when we personally visit, we see the safety factor, because they're inside. So we need to see the safety, we need to see whether they are comfortable or not, because a lot of people think that eco or mud house or stone house means that the comfort will be compromised, or there won't be western toilets, for example. So these are very wrong like misconceptions which have been built in people's mind. And it's an emerging concept, it's not something which they have been used to. Eco hotels is not something which has been existing since a long time. So we need to check all these features over there existing or not, and then we take it on our platform and we promote them, and then we take bookings for them, we send tourists over there.
Right. That's amazing. And is there any kids eco comfort over there in the hotels? It's for
uh,
family, right?
Yes, so that's again a very interesting point, that most of the hotels, if we see which we have, are very kid friendly, and they are for family holidays. So they are for couple holidays and solo travelers also, but they are built in a manner that it is very comfortable for families. And that's one another reason, like we did not expect this, but most of the customers who have visited our hotels are families, and they have gone in like groups, like two families, three families going together. And they, I think one another reason why they choose us is that they, when a family goes on a trip, and when they have kids with them, especially like younger kids, so they need to be very careful, and they can't just go anywhere or everywhere. So instead of choosing any mainstream hotel website or hotels, they, because we verify every hotel, they kind of trust us more, that here if we go we won't face problems or we won't have issues. And trust me, like we have not got a single complaint from any of the people who have gone through us. So that's like the biggest achievement, I would say, of Ecoplore, that no customer has complained to us.
That's amazing. I mean, you have like, I don't know, what's the amount again of the hotels?
What's the number of the hotels?
Yeah.
It's 150.
Okay, that's amazing. I mean, not having complaints for them, it's amazing. And mostly knowing how ecological hotels work. I mean, it's not the same as normal ones. So if you have that all information for them and you have all information for the families. And another question, do you have any tourism there? Like how do they manage to know the India in every single area the hotel is? Do you have any guides to go to anything in India?
So the two things, that within India, when somebody wants to travel, like when it is domestic tourism, they don't need a guide to travel. They need a guide when they reach the place. So once they reach, they have local guides from that area who take them around. Like they can take them on a trek, or they can take them on a birding tour where they can show them the different birds which are staying in that area, or if there's a waterfall nearby, they can take them on that trek to the waterfall. So on every location we have their local guides, which the hotels provide. Now if somebody from outside India wants to come to India, then they would obviously need a guide for travel also, because they are not familiar with the different routes, with the flights, with the trains, buses, taxis. So on that note, we have a customized tour. So we have done packages for foreigners also, where we take their requirements, that what kind of places do you want to go. If they have any predefined thought that they want to see a particular fort, or they want to see, for example, Taj Mahal, or maybe any particular waterfall or any nature, whatever they want to see, we take their requirement, and depending on that we prepare the entire customized tour according to the client. And then we personally go with them if it is required. If they ask us to go, then we go with them for the entire trip. If they don't want us to go travel with them, and they are independent enough, then we plan the entire trip and we arrange for everything. So from flights to taxis to whatever transportation is required, we arrange it for them, and then they can travel.
Okay, that's awesome. And what is the requirement to be in an eco hotel? Is there any requirements to get there?
The only requirement is, if you're sensitive, like if you have even like 5% of sensitiveness towards the environment, or you understand that there is a need to save the environment, that's like much, that's enough. So the our entire motive is to create that sensitivity among the people, that uh, I mean, it's high time that you think about your planet. Otherwise, nothing would be left.
So what happens if a family go there and they start smoking, or they just start doing things that are not ecological? I mean, you are in an ecological hotel, what do you do with that?
So, for example, smoking, or there are certain properties which don't allow alcohol. They don't allow drinking. So, we tell them from before that drinking won't be allowed. There's certain property, like most of our properties, they don't provide alcohol, so you have to carry your own if you want to drink over there. So then they know that they have to carry on their own. They won't find alcohol inside the property. On smoking,
I'm
because
sorry,
it,
why they cannot have alcohol? You know that if you're in holidays in like you want
I,
to drink or so, yeah, I mean that's all. You want to go there, you want to have fun, you want to drink, you want to do things that you're not doing at home. So what
so
about that?
I'll
Why they don't have alcohol?
Yes, I'll share. Not many properties have restrictions. A few have it. And the reason is, for example, we have a property in northern India, which is where you have to trek for like almost 1 kilometer and then you reach over there. And it's in a valley where there's nothing, like there's only that property and no villages, nothing. So if somebody like in India, uh, the drinking practice is very different from what it is there in the West. Here, I mean, if I tell you the such way people drink here, a lot of people from the lower class, they would drink and they would just lie on the road. So that's how it is in our country. So
Oh,
they don't
okay.
have, they don't allow, because if somebody drinks and falls over there, they'll die. So that's the practical reason. And otherwise most of the property they allow, like it's not that they don't, but then there are limitations that you have to drink it inside your room, not in the public area, because other people may get disturbed because of it. So it's because of the difference in culture and the way people behave here than in the West. So that's the reason primarily.
Okay, you know that there are ecological drinks, right? Just in case you need them, they are ecological drinks. I'm just saying, you know. That's awesome. So, how did you get this idea of making an eco hotel in India? I mean,
So
I know that women in India, they're not so much in the women culture over there. So it's amazing that you had this enterprise coming around all everywhere in India, and it's amazing. So I think that a lot of girls here can have an example in you and can know how to do things and why they can lift up their lives by doing things. So you're a great example for that.
So actually, the first eco hotel where I went was before I started Ecoplore. So I just went there with my husband and with some of my friends to have my holiday, to have a weekend holiday. And that stay was so inspiring. It was so nice, and that holiday was so memorable. There were so many things to do that when I actually started Ecoplore, my idea was like I was stuck over there, and I went there again to study it more. That what eco practices they are following and what why they are doing it, and they were like they are local villagers who are running that place. So. So when you see that local people are taking such great initiatives and they're running uh, they're using such innovative ways for conservation. So I'll give you a small example. In that state they have a hut kind of a thing, a very small hut they have made from thatch, from grasses, and they put their drinking water over there. So, and that too in a pot, so it remains cool. So they didn't, and that is under a tree, so they don't need a refrigerator to cool their water. So that was such a basic step, but that is very inspiring, and that's saving energy. You're not using refrigerator to cool the water, and anybody can just walk there and drink water from there, which is kept under a tree in a very protected small hut. So those little things were very inspiring, and I enjoy travel, so that was another reason. And travel is something obviously which teaches you the most. I mean, it's the best way to learn. And in terms of environment, very few people recognize that how much damage travel is doing. It's not just about the carbon footprint which you generate while using the different modes of transport, but the with the hotels you choose, the food you eat. For example, if you are eating a pizza in a very, very remote village and the ingredients are imported from like a far off place, then how much carbon footprint you're generating? You should be eating what is being produced in that village. And in most of our eco stays, the food which is served is what is grown over there. And that kind of food, like I love that food which we get in our eco stories. You don't even get that in fancy hotels which are there in cities or anywhere else. So these are the very small things which inspired me to start this and do this.
That is awesome. And what about the culture there with God, with religion? I know that India is a very religious country. And although I, like, in my opinion, God has no religion, I mean, I know that they're like very strict with that. So what about the religion that you have in India and the Eco Hotel?
So I think environment is the biggest religion, because in India, like in Hindu culture, we used to pray. We still pray trees, and we pray the sun, we pray the rains. So we pray nature over here. But then at the same time, we are destroying all those things. So I believe that.
So let me stop you there. So if you pray for the God of sun, or you pray for, I'm sorry, I have to say this, and you know what I'm going to say. If you pray to a lot of gods that they're not speaking to you because they're not alive, I mean, they're part of the nature that God, the Almighty God of creation, created, stop praying. I'm sorry, but why don't you start praying for the God of creation that made the sun, that made the water, that made everything that can move? So yeah.
So see, I find it really ironical that there are a lot of festivals which happen in our country where they are actually praying nature, but they're destroying nature to pray nature. And that's a very funny thing. And like for me, the eco hotels, we don't look at it from religious perspective, and we do not promote religious tourism. Maximum devastation happens because of religious tourism, and all the popular religious destinations which are there in India, uh, I mean, the nature is fully destroyed in all those places, and it's really beautiful, but it's in wrong hands. So unfortunately, like, we don't promote any of such destinations. We only focus on properties which are working for conservation. So our focus is not the destination. Also, our focus is the individuals, the organizations, the hotels which are working for conservation in any way.
Right. That's amazing. That's so wise. Anytime I hear that, I'm like, okay, the sun of, okay, you know that the sun is not hearing you, right? Or you know that the water is not hearing you because it's really dirty. But okay, I will pray that God encounters you, you know? Yeah, it's really funny. But we respect every single culture. And I know that at a point God will encounter everybody and say, hey, you know what? I am here. He's not alive. I created that, or something like that. So yeah, it's very funny. It's funny in this pandemic. How are you doing with your eco hotels? I mean, the best time for this pandemic is not traveling, not spreading, just living in our homes and just being there if we can do it, just not to spread the virus. So how the eco hotels are working everywhere with this pandemic? I mean, it's really tough, right?
Uh, uh, when the lockdown was there, when people were not allowed to move out of their homes, at that time, obviously, there was no travel. And so it was completely closed. The entire industry was closed. But once the lockdown opened up, it is a very, very positive signal for us that now people are shifting from regular hotels to alternative tourism. So people want to go to places which are more close to nature, which are homestays, which are not like typical hotels, which are something different or something unique. So the number of queries which we have got like post lockdown has been much higher than what we used to get before lockdown. So that has been actually a very, very positive signal and a positive message for us that people now know the value of nature, and they are actually choosing a nature-based stay than a regular concrete accommodation.
That's awesome. And do you have the mind of spreading your hotels everywhere or just like in India?
So we have actually we are now rebuilding our website and making it a booking engine. So in the new website which is coming up, we are also coming up with certain accommodations which are verified outside India in the South Asia region. So we gradually would like to expand it to the world also with collaborations and right kind of partnerships. So yeah, but since it's a in like it started with India, so we first want to like aggregate all the hotels in India and gradually expand to South Asia and the world.
Okay, that's awesome. So do you want to leave a message for everybody that's gonna listen today, now, and tomorrow because this is gonna be rebroadcasted everywhere? To the girls, to everywhere.
If you are a woman and you want to do any kind of startup or entrepreneurship, then this is the right time. This is what I have been saying because I have personally been benefited because of it. And especially in India, and not just in India, across the world, it is the age of women empowerment. And there are so many policies, incubators, scholarships, fellowships being given only to encourage more women to come ahead. And it's a like it's actually the right time to for women to come ahead with their innovative ideas and participate and do what they really want to do. And for those for everybody else, I would like to say that if you're going on a travel, like if you're going on a holiday, then do choose and do be a little conscious and think about the environment while traveling. You don't need to like take a lot of burden and responsibility, but if you choose an eco holiday, I guarantee that it will be much more fun than your regular hotel based holiday. There you get crowd and pollution, but here you'll get not just the relaxation, but you'll also be contributing to something which is good. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so definitely we're going to have a second interview because I know that everybody here is like wanting to know more. And if you have like images or something, please bring them. If you have flyers, please bring them to our next interview because this is awesome. And we don't see this much in the world. And when this pandemic, everybody's locked down. So it's awesome to know more about when we can go out and see these hotels that we don't see and we don't know that they exist. So this is really amazing. Thank you so much, Verna, for being here. Thank you so much. And we're
Thank
waiting
you.
for have you in another interview.
Sure. Thank you so much. It was pleasure. It was pleasure to have this entire conversation.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So
Thank you.
thank you, you too, for everybody here for having here this conversation about live climate talk. I see you in another interview again this week.
Okay. Bye. Good night.